Welcome back to the Avon Tyres National Formula Ford Championship. The third encounter sees us here at Brands Hatch, where the competitors take on the short and twisty Indy circuit. Coming into the round, it's a flying Irishman, Niall Murray, who tops the championship standings ahead of Luke Cooper. But if you look back at Knockhill, it was Neil McLennan who scored the most points, and Matt Garrido took his first ever win. So the trailing bunch are hungry for glory. But before we get into the racing here at Brands, let's have a recap of the action so far.
The opening rounds at a damp Silverstone produced plenty of action, as Formula Ford Festival winner Joey Foster would take the first race win of the season ahead of Niall Murray and Michael Moyers. Murray would fight back in the second race with a superb victory to take his first since he returned to the championship after taking the title in 2016, going wheel to wheel with main adversary Foster. While the third race looked to be between the pair of them, they didn't count on a feisty Luke Cooper, who first of all went wheel to wheel with Foster and then pulled off an audacious outside pass on Murray to not only take the lead but also go on to win the third race. With three different winners from the first three races of the championship, the next meeting at Knockhill was always going to be competitive, and indeed it was. But despite the best efforts of Murray and also Neil McLennan, it was 18-year-old Matt Garrido who would take his first pole position and then go on to pick up his first ever National Formula Ford race. Teammate Murray would fight back again in the second race, while the third race would go to Neil McLennan on his comeback to Formula Ford after missing the opening rounds. The racing was fast and frantic, but the weekend was marred by an awful accident for Davide Maloney, which saw the third race brought to a premature end. Thankfully, Davide was okay, and his car is back here this weekend. As the cars line up for the first race of the weekend at Brands Hatch, here is the grid order, with Murray on pole alongside Michael Eastwell, then Neil McLennan and Joey Foster ahead of Hugo Bentley-Ellis and Michael Moyers, then Luke Cooper and Nico Gruber on the fourth row. Top 10 completed by Matt Garrido and Jamie Thorburn, then Carter Williams and Jack Wolfenden ahead of Jonathan Brown and Chris Middlehurst, from Roger Orgy and an off-the-pace Josh Smith. Rory Smith and Matt Rivette are on row 9 ahead of James Clark and Sebastian Melrose. Then Thomas Capozone and Pascal Monbaron start ahead of Sebastian Job and John Svensson. Then Daniel O'Byrne and Henry Chart ahead of Richard Morris and Vincent Jay, while Sam Street and Davide Maloney with his repaired car start at the back of an awesome 30-car field. So a full grid here at Brands Hatch, 15 minutes of action here in the sunshine, and poleman Niall Murray is looking to make it 3 wins from 3 race weekends. Can he do it, or will someone else claim the spoils? Lights out, and we're racing at Brands Hatch. Good start from Murray. Wheel spin off the line from Michael Eastwell as he gets passed there by Neil McLennan off the line. Up towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. It's wheel to wheel between Thorburn and also Matt Garrido. On board with Cooper. He's attacking the 2 Kevin Mills cars. That is Hugo Bentley-Ellis and also Michael Moyers. Up the hill towards Druids for the first time. Wheel to wheel between the two of them into the right-hander. And that's contact for Jack Wolfenden. Moments into the race, Jack Wolfenden finds the barriers. He gets shoved out of the race through no fault of his own. So out of a left-hander at Graham Hill Bend, onto the Cooper straight, on board with Luke Cooper. Still chasing the 2 Spectrums in front of him of Bentley-Ellis and Michael Moyers. There are the 2 Cliff Dempsey cars. That's Nico Gruber ahead of Jamie Thorburn. Carter Williams is in there as well, and also Chris Middlehurst. Good to see him back here. He's a former Formula Ford Festival podium finisher. He was 3rd last year. It's great to see him back in the mix in a Formula Ford at one of his local circuits. Now the fight's on for second place already. This is now McLennan into second. Eastwell's up to 3rd, and Joey Foster, who was last year's Formula Ford Festival winner, is on the prowl in 4th place. Up towards Druids. There's Joey. Missed out on a victory at Knockhill. Had a bit of a turbulent weekend. He had an exclusion in the second race, but he managed to get himself back together, and he's at a circuit that he really, really enjoys. So hopefully we'll see something here, and there's contact. 2 cars off at Paddock Hill Bend. One is Henry Chart, and the other one is John Svensson. So that possibly is going to prompt a safety car, because they are pretty deep in the gravel, but it's not in a position where they can avoid any kind of work to get them out. They head out of Clark Curve onto the pit straight, but are they all slowing up? Yes, they are. And yellow flags and safety car boards go out all around the circuit, and that means that the race has been neutralised within the first couple of laps. So everyone stacks up behind the safety car. There's Niall Murray on board. He just brings it down to a gentle pace, and there, in the gravel trap, are the 2 cars that have come off, Henry Chart and John Svensson. Now, funnily enough, these 2 actually came together in qualifying at exactly the same spot, so I'm not sure they wanted to see each other that soon in that situation again. So those 2 will have a bit of explaining to do, I think. Now we're on board with Joey Foster. So his task now on the restart is to get back up to speed as quickly as possible and then try and pick off the 2 cars in front. He's going to try and catch Niall Murray, of course, but his main targets are going to be Michael Eastwell and then Neil McLennan in second place. Once again, look at the drivers weave from side to side. Again, to remind you, this is to keep temperature and pressures in the tyres, and also keep temperature in the brakes as well. You want them as warm as possible. Not too warm, but you want them as warm as possible to get a good run on the restart. Look at some of the drivers that have moved up. See, Josh Smith has moved up a few places. There's the two drivers that are off in the gravel trap. Henry Charles and John Svensson having a bit of a conversation between each other, as the field now stacks up behind the Honda Civic safety car here at Brands Hatch. Beautiful weather conditions, and it's nice to see Formula Ford once again has come home, because it all started here in 1967. The first Formula Fords drove here in Anger when they were tested and then raced. And ever since then, Formula Ford is a category that's lasted for just over half a century. And there's not many more categories that can claim a history as long as that. So the field makes its way past the scene of the accident. No drivers are harmed by the looks of things. Just a bit of damaged pride, I think, and two cars that just need a bit of a dust over and an emptying of some gravel, no doubt. But they'll go back to the paddock, they'll get themselves sorted, and they should be back out for race 2. There's Neil McLennan. It's good to see him back now. What looks to be, hopefully, a full campaign for the rest of the year, after he missed the opening rounds at Silverstone, but he was on top form at Knock Hill, his home circuit. Got a third in race 1, second in race 2, and took the win in race 3 before it was red flagged. And also look at the two red and white cars in the order as well. That's Luke Cooper in the Swift Cooper chassis. There he is, number 6. And the man behind him, as we ride on board with Cooper, is Matt Garrido, the race 1 winner from Knock Hill. So it's good to see that. So we've had 5 different race winners from the first 6 races. That just shows you how competitive the National Formula Ford Championship really is. And it's really benefiting from its newfound status on the TCR UK support package. It really has helped to raise the profile again of the National Formula Ford Championship, along with, of course, the Master Road to Indy prize. And of course it was here at the Formula Ford Festival where Keith Donegan, the actual scholarship shootout winner from 2017, claimed his ticket by finishing in 2nd place. The winner was Joey Foster, but he was outside the age range of being 25 and under. So that meant that Keith Donegan inherited the prize and went on to make the final 6, and then went on to win the whole damn thing. So Keith Donegan then is a bit of an alumni in this championship. As we go on board now with Rory Smith. He's also keeping a nice steady pace behind the safety car. So the cars have been cleared now. You can see that both Henry Chart and John Spencer's cars are free from the paddock hill bend gravel trap. So that means we should be able to get racing back underway once again very shortly. I wonder now if Michael Eastwell will have to try and defend as hard as possible from Joey Foster, as Niall Murray has a very extreme tyre warming technique. He really throws the car around from side to side. It's quite extraordinary and yet very satisfying to watch. So Niall Murray then backs everyone up now for the restart. This is the key here. You've got to try and catch them off guard here to get the best possible launch on everyone else. So he'll choose when to go any moment now. Now he's decided to put his foot down. Let's see now, has he managed to get the jump on everyone to come up through clearways? And the answer for that is not quite, because the man that has gone with him is Neil McLennan. Everyone else appears to have been a little bit sluggish off the restart, but Niall Murray has held on to Belize. They come back round Clark Curve onto the Jack Brabham Straight to lead them across the line to start the race once again. So Murray leads, McLennan in 2nd place, then a gap to 3rd now between Eastwell and this man, Joey Foster. Back at the paddock hill bend, and Eastwell hesitating on the apex. He doesn't feel confident enough to put his foot down all the way through the apex, so he had to back off a little bit, and that almost saw Foster make contact. And again into Druids. Down the hill, up towards Graham Hill Bend, a very tricky straight line braking zone. They swing through the left-hander. And now look behind Joey Foster, because Eastwell might get a little bit of help here, because he's coming under attack now from the seething mob from Kevin Mills Racing, because he's now got 1 Spectrum in front of him and 2 Spectrum chassis directly behind him. As Foster glides the car beautifully through the apex of clearways. That's how you drive a Formula Ford. Down the straight, in the slipstream now. What can both Bentley Ellis and Michael Moyes do here to try and close back in and help their teammate defend himself from Joey Foster? Good scrap going on here, back on board with Cooper. Now he's defending from Matt Garrido. Just behind them is Nico Gruber and Jamie Thorburn. He took 2 podiums at Knock Hill. There's Matt Garrido, number 27, the XL sponsored car. Now Now back towards Graham Hill Bend again, and Foster's looking very racy. Took a very tighter but much faster line through the inside of Graham Hill Bend, and he's right underneath the gearbox of Michael Eastwell, who does not seem comfortable. And that Spectrum might come under pressure here as Foster takes a look up the inside, and he may have forced Eastwell wide, but Eastwell carries the momentum around the outside line of the corner through clearways and up through Clark Curve, so he hasn't got the move done just yet, and I don't think he's close enough to make a dive inside or outside into Paddock Hill Bend. So back on board with Foster again, back into the right-hander, and again Eastwell just hesitates a little bit on the throttle through the apex of Paddock. He can't carry as much speed as Foster can, and that really is giving Foster an advantage here, and he's getting frustrated now because all this is doing is backing him up now into Eastwell's two teammates, because both Hugo Bentley Ellis and Michael Moyers are in the mix now, and they're on the prowl to try and scupper Foster's attempts to make a pass. So back into clearways again. The car in front is Neil McLennan. He's got clear track in second place. His incentive now is to try and get past Niall Murray and catch him. But up through clearways and up through Clark Curve now, and look at this. Foster's closer than he's ever been now as they come onto the Jack Brabham straight. This is his prime opportunity to make a pass here. We've got Bentley Ellis tucked in behind. He looks to the outside line, but Foster will try and make a move himself. Foster tries to go round the outside. He did this at the festival. Can he do it again? He's side by side on the outside line at Paddock Hill Bend. They're going to be wheel to wheel over the curbs. Side by side. It's a drag race up the hill towards Druids Corner. Eastwell locks up. Foster goes round the outside. Yes, he's done it. Unbelievable. Foster goes high, wide and handsome into Paddock Hill Bend, sticks to the outside line, takes the line through Druids, makes the pass and is up to third place. What a job, what a drive that was. So, Foster now up to third, but how long will he stay there? Because he's now got, look, count them, 1, 2, 3 Kevin Mills cars all right behind him. And they're all stacking up. And Eastwell now's got a great run here to try and get revenge on Foster. Here he comes. Look for Eastwell. He'll dart out to the outside line to make a carbon copy of the pass. Bentley Ellis looks to the outside as well to challenge his teammates. But they all close up again into Paddock Hill Bend. And also look behind them, because closing in to make a battle of their own, that's Cooper. Come to fend off Matt Ramgarrido and also Nico Gruber, who has broken away from his teammate, Jamie Thorburn. And there goes Gruber looking up the inside of Matt Ramgarrido by the looks of things. Ramgarrido couldn't get the move done, so he sits back and looks again into Graham Hill Bend, but once more, Matt Ramgarrido has that line defended. It's up into Surtees again. Look at the train stacking behind, because also getting into the mix here, I could see in the background was Jamie Thorburn, but right at the back of the queue, that is Josh Smith. He's the reigning Northern champion. Started back down in 16th place on the grid, and he's up there now looking at a possible top 10 finish. So he's making waves up through the pack now. Back along the pit straight. Here comes Nico Gruber then, under attack from Jamie Thorburn. There's Josh Smith in the black car, number 0. They're having a great entertaining scrap of their own. This is for the bottom end of the top 10. And Thorburn looks to try and make a move here, tries to make a dive up the inside, but Gruber shuts the door. And look at Josh Smith trying to go around the outside now, but he has made it stick, so he's taken over Joey Foster line, sticks it up the inside into Graham Hill Bend and says, go on Jamie, try that one on for size. So another great move there from Josh Smith. He's gone one place higher, so he's driving it up towards the top of the top 10, it looks like. Into the apex of McLaren, then through clearways, and here comes Matt Ramgarrido. He looks pretty racy now. It looks like he's the next driver to try and line someone up for a pass to Paddock Hill Bend. Now looking Cooper's left-hand mirror, Matt Ramgarrido just trying to move out here to make a move down the outside into Paddock. Cooper holds the inside line, and there's Matt Ramgarrido. You can see him in the mirror, looming large. Where's he going to go? Looks like Cooper has to go to the inside line, which forces Ramgarrido to go to the outside, but there's not enough grip. He's not far enough alongside to make it stick. Here's Joey Foster. This is now him chasing after second place Neil McLaren as he throws the car into the apex. He really is giving it everything here to close in on second place Neil McLennan. So what can McLennan do here then? This is a race winner already, but has he got enough momentum and enough pace to defend from Joey Foster here down the pit straight? Off the straight goes the leaders. This is for second, third, and then fourth place just behind them is Eastwell. Foster has a look, he puts himself into McLennan's mirrors, and again, like Eastwell, McLennan can't get the power down in the middle of the corner. Joe Foster is much more confident through Paddock Hill Bend, and it really shows. The speed difference on the apex of the corner is astonishing. So Foster again lining up his next victim as McLennan again holds his racing line, but look at the line that Foster's taking. He knows he's quicker. He knows he's got an advantage. He has to try and pick his moment. Where can he pass? He's going to think about the outside of Surtees, but that's never going to work in a month of Sundays. So back up towards McLaren, a little right-handed kink towards the top of the corner at Clearways. And has McLennan got anything left to defend here? Eastwell closes back in as well, as does Moyers. Down the pit straight go the three of them. And McLennan pulls right and puts two wheels on the grass. Foster goes past on the straight, and also so does Michael Eastwell. Now what happened there? Was there a problem? Did he possibly miss a gear? Did he have some kind of mechanical issue? Whatever it was, Joe Foster sailed past Neil McLennan on the straight, and Michael Eastwell went through at the same rate as well. Now, McLennan looks to be back up to speed. He's down to fourth now. He's under attack from both Bentley Ellis and also Michael Moyers. So is there a problem developing for Neil McLennan here, or was that possibly a momentary lapse in a gear change? We'll wait and see. We're back on board with Cooper. He's now looking at the back of Michael Moyers again. And everyone's starting to pair off now a little bit here. They're not sort of in that big group again. They're going 2 by 2 up through the order. Foster is now under attack from Eastwell again, as Eastwell looks to get his revenge on the outside pass from earlier on. McLennan is back up to speed again, but he's just not as close as he needs to be to try and attack once more to repass for third and then second place. He closes him back under braking into Paddock, and he is right there underneath the gearbox of Eastwell. Eastwell has to go to the inside to defend. Foster sweeps across, a lock up from McLennan into the right-hander at Druids, and they're all stacking up behind him, because look at this, you've also got in there too, you've got Moyers and as well Hugo Bentley Ellis. We're on board with Cooper through Graham Hill Bend again, and look behind him of course, we've also got Nico Gruber and Matt Garrido. Josh Smith is in there as well, and also Jamie Thorburn, so they're all jostling for position amongst the top 10. And it's Joe Foster that leads the pack then, back onto the Jack Brabham straight. Meanwhile, out in front, we've almost forgotten about him, Noel Murray is basically spread-eagling the field here at Brands Hatch in race 1, and he's racing away at the front without a care in the world. Look at this. Massive lead. In fact, they're only just coming through Druids Paddock Hill Bend now, as he exits it at the base of the hill to head up towards Druids. On board with the race leader. That's the perfect view for Murray. Clear track in front. He misses the apex of Graham Hill Bend, so you can't say he's not pushing. This is the great thing with Noel Murray. Even though he's in the lead, he will always push as hard as he can to maintain the lead, because he knows that anything can happen in a Formula Ford race, and one small lapse in concentration, one small little inkling of complacency, and possibly something can happen that can ruin the race. So that's something he really has to take into account, and he really does make sure that he's rock solid in terms of consistent lap times to keep on extending the advantage he has over the cars behind. Down the pit straight again. This is Josh Smith. He's got past Nico Gruber. Gruber wants to try and repass him into Paddock. Jamie Thorburn looks on, and I think just behind them also, that might be Chris Middlehurst. Indeed it is. So Chris Middlehurst is having a good run, getting close to the top 10. It's good to see him back, as we said earlier on. Side by side for the two Cliff Dempsey cars, as now we've got Gruber under threat from Thorburn. Thorburn looked down the outside line, tried to make the move into Graham Hill Bend again, and I think McLennan, he dropped another place here, because I think he's lost out to another of the Kevin Mills Spectrum cars, and Cooper's going straight on. Cooper goes straight on at Surtees. Now, is that possibly suspension damage or steering or something else mechanical has failed? Because all of a sudden Luke Cooper's car refused to turn left into the apex of Surtees. He's got it way off the racing line on the grass, which shouldn't warrant a safety car or even yellow flags. He'll just crawl back to the pits or even bring the car to a halt. Back aboard with Foster. Still has to look in his mirrors, because Michael Eastwell's not finished yet. Despite the move he pulled a few laps ago, and a super move that it was, he's seeing deja vu now. Looks in his mirror and thinking, crikey, there's 3 of them. I thought I only had to deal with 1 of them, but it's 3 I've got on my mind now. Into the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend, down the back straight now. And Foster has got now, never mind the Spanish Inquisition, it's the Spectrum Inquisition. All 3 of them stacked up behind him, waiting to pounce. Eastwell, Bentley Ellis, and also Michael Moyers, they're all line astern now. Makes great view for Kevin Mills. I'm not sure it's quite the same for Don Harbin. He's looking at this thinking, when are these guys going to leave my driver alone? Well, he's not going to do it anytime soon because Eastwell looks to the outside line. He wants to make an outside pass on Foster into Paddock Hill Bend, and Foster, with a twitch of oversteer, holds the line through the apex of Paddock Hill Bend. So no room at the end so far for Michael Eastwell for third place, but he's trying, and now he's coming under threat from his two teammates because Hugo Betnielis had a look up the inside, couldn't get it done, and Michael Moyes thinks, I want a piece of the action too. So this is over second, third, fourth and fifth, and they've pulled away from the cars behind. And if we go up the inside with Chris Middlehurst in contact with Nico Gruber. Middlehurst hits the back of Gruber's car, sends him spinning out onto the infield. There's Gruber. I think you'll find there's some very specific but strong Austrian expletives being said underneath that helmet. Definitely going to have appreciated that one. Murray then puts a lap on Sam Street. He's one of the few Clubman post-89 cars in the field for the more sort of enthusiast drivers who just want to race a Formula Ford. Now here's a replay. Now that's Thorburn in front. Gruber will slide down the inside. Middlehurst carries the speed through the apex, but Gruber, as he tries to recover, there's contact. And Gruber gets speared out onto the left-hand side. Doesn't hit the barrier, but I'm sure that he'll be very much aggrieved from that one. And I think that Middlehurst may find himself hauled up in front of the stewards for that particular move. Back on board with the culprit. Through the left-hander at the scene of the accident. He's now trying to chase after Jamie Thorburn, if there's any scope to do so. As we look again at Joey Foster. Now he's pulled a tiny gap now on the Spectrum trio. But they've also got something to think about here because Matt Ramgarida, who has got past Luke Cooper, by the way, of course after he retired, is now possibly giving headaches to the three Kevin Mills cars in there. Also we'll look out for Josh Smith. He's moved up a few places and benefited from some of the retirements as Chris Middlehurst manhandles his Formula Ford through Paddock Hill Bend. There's Ramgarrido. Now can he move up any higher than 6th? Will he have to stay there? And can he possibly split the Spectrums here if there's any chance? But as we said, this must make great viewing for Kevin Mills Racing. 3 very well prepared Formula Fords, and they're all doing him proud. There is Sam Street, just been lapped by Noel Murray, but he's running his own race and keeping out of harm's way. He'll look at his mirrors and thinking, oh goodness me, I've got 5 very feisty Formula Fords. Make it 6 with Josh Smith. As we head on to the last lap of the race here at Brands Hatch, Noel Murray, again with a clear track, just swings his 1999 Van Diemen into Paddock Hill Bend up towards the top of the hill at Druids. Bear in mind that Noel Murray's car is the oldest car in the Pro class because, yes, it's a 1999 chassis, but we said it before that age of a chassis doesn't really matter. If you're quick enough and the car's well engineered enough, you can race at the front. So you've got all these cars that are brand new cars for 2018, either a couple of years old or even more than 5 years old. But Noel Murray, with the oldest car in the field, is showing that even with a car as old as that, he can still run at the front. Well, the battle for second place is going to go all the way to the line here. And Foster may come under pressure from Eastwell here to come out the final corner. But up to the checkered flag. Another great way to start the weekend. Murray wins race 1 at Brands Hatch in dominant fashion. That's the Noel Murray we're used to seeing. And he punches the air with delight as the battle for second place goes right the way to the flag. And it's Murray who wins. Foster just pips Eastwell to second place, with Betnielis 4th and Michael Moyes 5th. Then Matt Ramgarrido, Josh Smith, Jamie Thorburn, Chris Middlehurst and Matt Rivette round out the top 10. Jonathan Brown 11th, ahead of Carter Williams and Sebastian Melrose. Then Nico Gruber, James Clark, Pascal Monbaron, Thomas Capazone, Richard Morris, Sebastian Job and Vincent Jay, with Maloney, Street and Smith rounding out the finishers. But look at the retirements who have to start from the back of the grid. They'll have a lot of work to do in race 2.
Niall, looked easy from your point of view.
Yeah, it's never easy. You know, that 15 minutes might be the easy bit, but there's a lot of work involved getting up to that. So, yeah, in terms of it being an easy win, it's never ever the case. I'm sure anybody that has easy wins will tell you that. So, yeah, no, especially you know, in that race with the heat as well. I was actually you know, the tyres were just going off massively towards the end. I think everyone else's were as well, but I just found myself just, you know, skidding around a little bit more than I wanted to, putting the wheel off the odd time, going out wide, so I was kind of a bit conscious of track limits as well. I know how strict they are here.
Joey, a well-earned second place. Michael kept you honest all the way.
Yeah, it was, you know, as usual in Formula Ford, it's a tough race. Around here it's quite hard to overtake as well, so starting 4th, I was thinking, you know, it's going to be hard to make progress, but yeah, made it work, got a good start and got behind Michael. Had a few sort of attempts to get by, and then managed to make a good move around the outside of paddock and make it stick. So I was really happy with that, and head down and managed to get second.
Michael, what a scrap with Joey. Well-earned podium.
Yeah, thanks very much. It was a big scrap. Fair play to Joey. It was a fantastic move around the outside. I think similar to his festival winning move. And I tried my hardest up to Druids, and no, fair play to him. He just went that little bit later than me, and we gave each other room, and that was good racing. So yeah, well done to Joey.